Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Bringing you another special video today because, guys and girls, Dead by Daylight has a contender. Will it be successful? Will it not? Well, some of that depends. Some of that depends on whether it gets fans, but also some of that depends on the improvements that it can make to itself to be competitive with Dead by Daylight. So I'm very excited about this. We asked all of our community members, and here is 5 things we want to see in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, getting us started, what's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Well, it's an asymmetrical horror game, much like Dead by Daylight, but different in a lot of very key ways. There's 3 killers. Those killers are not overpowered, but instead governed by a stamina gauge and have to work strategically against 4 victims who also have multiple avenues of escape. So what is it we'd like to see in this bad boy? What is it we'd like to see improve? Well, when I do these videos, I go around to all the community members that I know are playing the game, and I ask them specifically what they want to see in this game. And a lot of people got back to me, so I'm very excited to go into it. Now, a couple of quick disclaimers. The 5 things you're about to see are not in a particular order. They're just 5 things. It's not a countdown or anything like that. And I also want to say that none of this is indicative of this being a bad game. In fact, I am very much enjoying my time in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and very much hope to see positive changes, content added, and to see it potentially be a competitor to Dead by Daylight because competition makes games more interesting. Let's go ahead and get into this. So, first, right off the bat, this one's a simple one, and it's a very nitpicky small one, so I'm going to get it out of the way here. But I kind of feel like it has to be mentioned because it's pretty terrible. That being said, it's only going to affect you if you've ever played custom game. And I know it's pretty hard to find 7 friends to play a custom game with you, but I actually managed to have 7 friends who play this game. But when we went into custom, we were greeted by something kind of irritating. When you join a custom game, it has the same countdown timer that you have in matchmaking. So when you join a game in matchmaking, there is a 2.5 minute timer up at the top of the screen. That timer counts down, giving you that much time to make your character selection, fiddle with your loadout, change your character, that sort of thing. And if everybody readies up, the time to countdown immediately goes to 5 seconds, and you get the game started. That being said, when you're playing with a bunch of people, 7 people, all in a custom game that isn't for experience and isn't for anything special, you want a little time to discuss who's going to play what, how they're going to play, what they're going to play. We also had placed this kind of rule on it that the first person to get killed by the victim had to stay a victim, which was fun, but then when trying to figure things out, 2.5 minutes is not a very easy amount of time to switch back and forth between characters, especially if you're respecking on the spot. So for the custom matches, they need to remove that timer. That needs to go away and make it easier for the people who are playing the custom games. Let's face it, that's not a very juicy one, is it? It's not going to get anybody's blood cooking because it's pretty niche. So let's get into some more fun, special ones. Well, this one is specifically from me, but also specifically from Jason from the community. I appreciated this one a lot. They need to incentivize victims. Seriously incentivize victims. Playing the victims. There is sometimes a large issue when you're matchmaking, finding victims if you're playing a killer. And the victims can be much harder to play. I actually think they probably need to balance them, but after large discussions with friends of mine, I decided not to include balance changes to it, but instead incentivize them. They do not get the same level of points that a killer does. A killer averages between 1,000 and 1,200 points a match. Victim averages about 600. It's definitely, and they feel like they do a lot more work in the match. I will say it is very satisfying with a victim to actually survive, but I don't survive that much. I haven't seen a lot of other victims survive that much, so that isn't really an incentive in itself either. To get it a little bit more balanced with the killers, we need to incentivize this. Even if it's a Dead by Daylight sort of whoever's whatever thing is being played less, we incentivize the experience gains more. Such as, oh, well, we've got less victims, it's 50% more experience to play them. Something to get more victims going, get more victims in the game. The next one was submitted by Batman Fan 66 from our community, and he wants to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre characters added, specifically Chop Top, and other such characters added to the mix. I'd like to actually expound on this. Not only do I want to see more Texas Chainsaw Massacre characters added, especially since you've got 6 movies to draw from, but I would love to see some more niche licensing being added to this, such as many of the Rob Zombie movies like House of a Thousand Corpses, that sort of thing. You also can get in some other licensing that hasn't been eaten up by Dead by Daylight, and even some original characters would be nice. Some things we've never seen before. And we've already seen that Gunn is not going to shy away from more original niche characters, as Johnny and Sissy, the characters that appear in this game, were actually cut from the original script of the original horror movie. So they don't actually appear in any canon, making them kind of basically original characters. So I would love to see more of that in this game. More characters to play. Of course we want to see that. I would also like to see a little bit more victims to play. Some more variation there as well. I'm very excited. I'm sure these will come, but I'm very excited for more content in the playable characters area. Number 4, less flashy, but it's got to get mentioned. Bug fixes, smoothing out the experience. So, as I have been playing Texas Chainsaw for some time now, I have noticed a lot of things that I would like to see be smoother, be a little bit better, be a little bit fixed. I also want to say this came from Asylum 66 on this one, and I couldn't agree more. One of the things that is a huge issue in this, for me personally, is the doors. When you open and close doors, they just kind of if you're standing in way, they kind of run into you until you move out of their way, then they shut, then you have to lock them. I would much rather have a door shutting animation that just happens when you open or close the door, and then it was done, and then you could press lock. Often I have a really hard time getting into place for button prompts with any sort of efficiency. In addition to that, there's a lot of different little button prompt things that are very wonky on the distancing and how you can do it, such as feed grandpa. I can't feed grandpa from the front. I can only feed grandpa from the sides, and it's this very specific angle on the sides. I've wasted precious seconds trying to feed grandpa, but not getting the angle right, and it's very irritating. Same thing goes for the victims. Often I end up accidentally running into the noisemaker by trying to cut them, or shutting the door on the wrong side of it when being chased. I wish there was better mechanisms for that, a smoother experience. To add to that, the frame rate dips are killers. It has gotten a little bit better since launch. I think they did a patch already. But I can't count the number of times I've lost prey as killer because of a frame rate dip during the fight. It's very frustrating. There's also some matchmaking, some internet glitches that happen. The other night I was playing with a friend. I was doing good, and then all of a sudden I just wasn't in the game. The entire game locked up, stayed there for, 10 minutes, then dropped out and told me I had a fatal error. So stuff like that just needs to get fixed, needs to get corrected. I mean, this is a games as service without a doubt, so it needs to get updated and fixed as quickly as humanly possible. And that brings us to our last one. And I'm going to go ahead and quote a couple of people here. Myself and Jason. And I think Asylum 66 is also in agreement with me on this one. We need a skill point rework or a skill tree rework. Specifically on how you get skill points. That sort of thing. Right now, as it stands, as you level up, as you gain experience, you only gain it as a player. When your player levels up, you gain 5 skill points each level. But of course, the gap in player level keeps getting higher, so it gets harder and harder to earn those skill points. But here's the kicker: those skill points are used for every character in the game. So if you spend 5 on Anna, you can't spend 5 on the Hitch, or if you spend 3 over here, you can't spend 3 there. It is universally shared between the 10 characters in the game. This is super irritating. Super irritating. A lot of people are like, oh, you could respec stuff. Yeah, you can respec stuff, but you also have random perks that when you respec them, they go away, and you maybe can't get them back, and maybe that was something you wanted in your build. A lot of people often say, well, I want to respec to a certain certain thing, and I just keep rerolling until I get it. That's fine, but that's a lot of frickin' time respecking, putting everything back in to reroll, to respec, to do the whole thing. And it's very annoying if you end up with more than one random perk on your thing, because every one of them are going to be lost. Plus, I'm going to say this right now. I don't want to respec every one of my and put my points in different characters every time I play. I don't want to do it. Gun has said they want to encourage play over all the characters. Well, you need to encourage play over all the characters, guys. You need to make it so that each character levels up on their own, so that when you're playing that character, you're gaining new experience for that character, instead of this insane skill point kind of scarcity that you start to get right around 15, player level 15. It just gets very, very frustrating, in my opinion, and it actually forces me to only play 2 characters, to play 1 character on the victim side and 1 character on the killer side, with maybe a couple of points thrown in for a spare character if I need it. So yeah, I really want to see that skill point rework as soon as humanly possible. So, that's it. Dead by Daylight. 5 things we want to see. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? I want to really quickly thank the contributors on this. Asylum66, Batman-Fan66, and then Jason. They all sent me really good suggestions, and I appreciate it. You guys all sent me a lot of suggestions. I am sure I did not use all of them, because I only get to do 5 things. But it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate all of that. As far as everybody else, you can comment below if we did get it right or wrong, or anything you agree with, or anything you want to add. And then you can always reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. So I just keep watching this, and we'll keep making them. Happy murder!